Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Space Engineers. This week's a little different. It is a special occasion. You may notice, January 16th is the date this is originally being published. If you were to go all the way back in the playlist to my original first upload of this series, you may notice it was uploaded January 16th, 2021. This is the 1 year anniversary of the first video. We've come quite a ways since then, I have to say. But I figured I'd do something a little different to sort of celebrate the occasion. Fair warning, this is probably not going to be a lot of Space Engineers it's not a lot of active Space Engineers content. We'll put it that way. It's not new content. So let's hop in our little console here in the command room. If I look down, got this nice little screen. Yeah, I think we'll watch some YouTube. So, guess without further ado, we'll get into it. Okay, this should be some fun. So, as you can see from up here, I have watched through this video. I don't think all the way through. I think I just scrubbed through it. But that was primarily because I was curious how bad the video quality was way at the start. It was iffy in points. And these first several videos are going to be pretty iffy because I didn't actually know how to have my settings done to record any sort of good. And I still don't really, but these were rough. So, I guess we can just kind of start clicking through. One of the main reasons I'm doing this with the videos as opposed to, going back to the world save and looking around is I don't have the world save anymore. I save at each episode so that if something goes wrong horribly, like a crash or whatnot, I can revert and then, film the episode again without issue. But I don't have enough room to do that for every single episode, so I just basically keep two back. So I always have three Adventures in Space saves there. I don't know why I do that, it just seemed nice. But, yeah, so unfortunately I can't go back to, the very first save and see what it's like. Kinda wish I could. Had I known I was going to do this from the start, that's probably what I would have done, but, So we'll just kind of click through. What are...
Yeah, we'll go ahead and add in.
Ooh. Editing's a little rough. I don't know. I may have added in static.
Okay. So
Yeah, I think I did. That's interesting. That staticky sound that comes up. I guess that makes some sense. But that's interesting. I didn't think these were edited. I thought these were just raw uploads of the streams. Because as you may know, these started out as streams, and then later on I was like, oh no, I think I should do these edited. But maybe I was editing from the start. Or what it may have been was just light editing. Like I didn't cut down things, I just... Except for this where I clearly am cutting down things. So yeah. That's interesting. But I just talked about the various mods that are in this, many of which are no longer. I guess some of them. A lot of them are, but this was a year ago and many mods have changed. Guess we can start... Oh, here's my... my pod rolling, as they're wont to do in Space Engineers if you land on any sort of slope.
Things have quickly gone worse.
Oh
no. Come on. Find the ground. Oh. Okay. Well.
Huh.
Well, there goes any sort of...
It's not too horrible looking.
Orientation I had. But...
Wow.
Here we are.
God, my suit is very bright red there.
Yeah, so there's...
It's kind of interesting. Here, let's scroll it back. So obviously this is our first landing, so nothing's happened.
But...
Here
we are.
Let's see if we can, Come on.
Yeah,
Pan
so-
left. Oh. So I believe that flattish area right up there, that is our base. Or the first Earth base. Whatever. I guess I didn't give them names. It's just Earth base. Right over there on this ledge. It's wild to see it so empty.
What on this pod has the stuff I need?
I don't know what stuff he needs, so I can't help him. Yeah, this is pretty common. I do this most every survival start. Just chop the pod up for loose parts and convert. I probably said as much in this, so
I don't think the
we can skip ahead. Oh, there's our first flight.
I think we're good to start moving.
I think so.
That's moment of truth. Thrusters
I'm at a bit of a
on,
jaunty angle.
and we're off. Okay,
That's probably all right.
so
Yeah, so we're moving.
we're kind of just moving like an airplane now.
Because the whole idea, I remember, I guess I'd scouted out and found some ores over where we built the base. So my whole plan was just to move the pod a short little distance
Got
over
up
there.
thrust and then
In hindsight, I could have moved it all the way down to the lake. I don't know quite why I decided not to. I probably said it in this, but I'm
Forward.
skipping it.
I guess airplanes don't have up thrust, but more like a helicopter,
Either way, this is
which means I need
our history, even if it's not the most
control
logical
like a
history.
Helicopter. Make it
Oh.
big.
Now we're
I
placing
need to start
blocks.
getting
Yeah, look, we're here. Oop. We're here at the base. The very beginnings.
Oh.
So I guess I blocked it out,
Stutter, which generally means
pretty
a
early
ship is
on.
the horizon. Yep.
which makes some sense.
Okay. Hopefully it won't pass close enough to me to be a problem.
And I probably changed the layout a bit, but
One more steel plate.
I feel like that first base really was just like
Okay.
my initial
So that would give me
plan.
my
Okay,
kinda-
let's get
That's the
something
area
built, and then I kind of
roughly
worked from there.
of the base.
And it's probably going to be a lot of digging.
I'll build some power so we can generate stuff.
Yeah,
refill
you do that.
stuff. Oh,
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, my first time lapse. Look at that. Oh, no music or anything, just raw noise. And probably judderingness to the point that makes people sick. So I probably shouldn't be showing it again, but I am. Huh.
so
In fact, I wonder... Hold on.
I'm gonna need something bigger.
Oh.
But
I'm curious what those words say. Ah. A choice selection of clips accompanied by high-speed digging. No, it's primarily just digging, though I may have paused in between like I do. I think I'd have to dig up the old file. It sounds like I have the audio of a tape reel playing there in the background too. So I did put a little something over it. I just wasn't to the point where I was using music yet. Let's see. I want to see some stuff. Oh, okay, so there I have a refinery.
40 interior
Working
plate,
on a
20 small steel tubes.
Thing. Oh, I'm not using build
So,
vision because I didn't really understand how to use it at first.
While I'm here, we
Which
can set those
doing
to
these in
run this,
videos does make you learn pretty quick how to use build vision, because
and
it just makes life
our
so much
iron and
easier
stuff,
not
and
having
I think
to
both of those should
sort
be
through
iron.
menus. Because normally that would be cut out stuff anyway, because it's not very entertaining. I often don't, but you know.
Oh, I have the iron on me.
that's why I use build vision, so I don't have to as much.
Yeah, sure.
If you see the occasional sorting around in menu, then it's interesting and exciting. I'm curious how far... Oh, hold on a second. That's a little interest. Where does that start? Right about there. Those This is going way back. One of the first vehicles I built that was solely mine. The hot dog, which at this point I think I just called the truck, which was my little ore hauler, and initially it was my scouting and exploration vehicle too. I feel like,
2 back wheels.
nah, that might be the
Had
link
a
that
fair
stayed. I can't
distance.
remember.
Pop in
But if I
that.
recall, I bet by the end
Very
of
basic
this,
frame.
here, well, no, we can keep going. I bet by the end of this, I had a
Fall through the frame of it.
functional frame, because I remember for a long time, a couple episodes, and these were long.
Shore up these a
You can
bit.
see the episodes were an hour and a half to 2 hours almost, this one. I remember for a while it was just the bare basic frame, cockpit, battery, wheels.
Actually,
Because that's all I could afford at the time.
just to give it some character, we'll give it
Good, giving character. It's always important
Some
on utilitarian builds.
curve.
Though that curve was a pretty iconic look of the vehicle.
Beautiful. Oh, where are you?
We may have to...
Way over there.
I'll let you in, viewers, on a little
And
secret
really
plan, because
go
we are,
first.
of course, our mission was to build a base on all 3 planets, the Earth, Mars, and the alien planet. I have some plans for what I'm going to do
So, it should be good.
coming to the end, but we are coming to the end of the
I'm gonna
series,
do-
so I think part of those plans will involve coming back and visiting these places
So I'm
and
going to build this thing now as kind of
looking at things as we
a
left them.
frame. Nope.
Oh yeah, the cargo. Okay, so maybe I did have some
Storage.
initial cargo built onto it.
I could
That's
have
smart.
3 if I want.
Though that may
I
not have
think I'll just go
lasted.
with the battery for now. That's what I'll do.
Oh, and actually, I bet what I'm doing there is using it to bridge. Because it looked like I was thinking of putting the battery right in here. So I can use this to bridge the gap so I don't drop the back end off.
Real quick,
Yep.
just to keep everything together, I'll plop that there.
That's smart.
We'll clear
No, I think
this
it
out.
gets large cargo
And in
containers at
between
some
here, 'cause
point.
that's too high.
Yeah,
that's
because the
current
battery moves
height.
up front. I probably
Bring that
redesigned it a bit, but
Uh,
no. I am building it, though, it looks like. Let's go
Let's see.
ahead and jump on...
Big wheel.
Oh. Look, it's getting completely rebuilt. Oh, that's why. That's right, because it's actually a large... It uses the 5x5 wheels. The one. So it uses the
Okay.
largest wheels, so the whole thing would be bigger. That's why it looked small at first. And then designing, I think I remember,
Just getting
because that, if we draw our attention over here, episode 1.5, the little sneaky fella, was a supplemental because I felt bad. If I recall, I did a bunch of work off camera, and then instead of, because these were also streams, I made the little thing here to showcase the work I did off camera before going on to episode 2 and just diving right in. I think that's about how I did it. So yeah, if I'm right, it looks like at the end
a good
here,
bit of progress.
yeah, we have, ooh, that's not a very
We've
good
gone
screen to
from-
show it. We have our frame, we have a bare basic base.
Landing to
There's not too much going on. And if we just pop in here real quick.
hello.
This isn't the... I plan to go every 5 episodes, but I want to showcase because we're talking about it. Oh, yeah. Okay, look at that. So, in between, I built the truck. There, you can see the base frame of it. And I was doing the drill rig here, which was initially to get material, but also it drilled out our basement, which was where the cargo storage was. If I'm right, I mainly just talk about that in this video. Yeah. Looks like it. Okay, so that's kind of the real end of episode 1 progress. in the 1.5 we had. See if I can get it all in shot. All in shot as if I'm directing this and not just watching videos of the past. Well, you get the point. We had a truck, we had a drill, we had a basic base that was getting its own resources. So, now let's hop on to 5.
Might be live.
Oh, yep. You can hear my call out.
Live. Probably live. Hello, internet. Welcome
Because again,
back
they were
to
just
Space
streams, pretty
Engineers.
much edited, uploaded
So-
raw, so I didn't worry about the fact that I had little bits where I was like, is this actually going? I think so. Yeah, that's what I remember now. That's how that was the change, was I stopped streaming them as well as uploading them. So they may have been edited from the start with the intention of always doing some light editing, but that changed. So what is going on?
As
If I'm right, well, I still do this. I usually, if I've done anything, I'll kind of like do a little tour of what's happening. Okay, hold on. There's some interest going here. So, we've got the basic frame of the main factory building. Look, we've got the actual refinery and assembler where they are. We've even got the little 2 twin humps of the roof going on.
here,
We've got-
even
well-
the chairs did.
We've got the windows. I wonder, hold on.
It's now moving.
Okay, I think this is the first episode where these changed. If I look at the... Oh, this is episode 4, not 5, isn't it now? Because of 1.5 throwing off the count. Well, okay, well that's interesting to see at least. Maybe we go by number in the playlist. That sounds fair.
Now have a large
So we'll be one
refinery
off
and
the
a full
episode
assembler.
number, but that was
which
my
is-
fault at the beginning.
In terms of
So, okay. So this is the very beginning. You can see the hot dog just out there, which again I think is still unnamed. So I'd done about 5 hours worth of work up to get to this point. So it makes sense that I've progressed quite a ways. These early episodes are going to be, they're going to be big jumps every 5 episodes because of that. Because there was just so much time filming. Let's hop forward a bit. Oh, yep, here's a better shot. So,
each of them,
the hot dog. Oh, I've done the up-down timers that didn't work, and I don't remember if I left them on or just stopped using them. But initially it was to raise and lower the suspension, I just clacked the buttons a bunch of times, and I got annoyed with that, so I made timers that would do it for me. Except they didn't really work, so...
thing kind of
Oh, but we're driving.
coming back to the save and playing
Oh,
off
yeah, that...
camera. Oh, slow up.
Actually-
for the- oh,
Oh,
I forgot
almost
about
going over a
that.
cliff. Ooh, there's one of my spinny things. Oh, and I think, okay, I remember this episode. We'll have to skip and find that. This is the fun episode of driving. But, I guess I'm going to that. Yeah.
Wow, I've been really
Can definitely
lucky
see
to
YouTube struggling
swing
with the
wide of
artifacting of all the grass.
flip face there every time.
Now, there's a
I guess 'cause
downside.
most of the
Next,
time I'm coming for the
well,
drill, and so I swing around.
the next Space Engineers thing
can
I
see while
do,
we're here,
I probably
I
will
can
not
shut
have
off.
grass involved
I
anyway,
drilled a
but
little bit
that's a
further into
little
the
Easter
ground.
egg.
If I come over.
Yeah, I remember these things. Unfortunately, I think this thing got shot up. I think I found that in a... Because every so often when performance got bad, I'd go and go through trash removal and remove things. Because there was... I'm still playing in the same world that all this is in. I intended originally to, once I got to Mars, I'd make a new game world on Mars and go from there. But it just never worked out. Or I just never tried. So, all this stuff is still in the world, which does affect performance. But, I've tried to mitigate that, and I saw, looking through all the entities, this is still there, but most of it is on fire.
We're
So that's
up
kind of
the
a
hill
bummer.
a bit.
Okay.
Medical bay.
So this was the silver boulder I'd found.
Back right up there.
If I'm right. Yeah.
And future editor me will probably go to a time lapse as I
I
drew
might.
silver.
Apparently I do one better.
Hooray.
Oh, I just hard cut.
Eh,
Though with a really slow fade in and fade out, which
Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of anymore, but it works
this
at the
should more or
time.
less set me up, at least for now. I don't think there's too much I need
Hmm.
silver for yet.
Unfortunately, the modern videos may still do
it's
some of
like
this
gravity
artifacting. A lot of it's on
units.
YouTube and how it compresses video,
Various
because it
jumping
compresses
guys
it down
and
a
whatnot.
bit from the default.
That
Oh, yeah.
guy. Uh-oh.
So this is our first
bad
drone
things
attack.
occurring. Okay.
This is a
That's a
big
drone.
episode.
Come out of the time lapse. No more time lapse.
Yep.
Okay.
So I've
Well, this
flown
is
up on my
exciting.
jetpack in an
I'm
attempt.
out of ammo.
Oh. An attempt to
Attack.
board and take out the thing before it blows up my truck.
I should have locked to it. Come on. Oh, I gotta stay away from that gun. This got very intense very quick.
There we go.
I hope it doesn't shoot the truck much on its way down. Okay.
Hey.
Huh.
Went
Well,
pretty well for my first foray into combat.
So, that was something.
Sure was. And if I'm right, our adventures aren't quite done yet. Yeah, so in the little screen, I have doing some repairs. Oh right, it blew up one of my up-down timers.
I think I may have.
So I can no longer. They didn't last very long, those. I do repair them, but I think I stopped using them because they annoyed me. So I do some grinding down. The one benefit of having drones constantly attacking you is you get a lot of free parts from it. Now, where's the next bit I'm trying to... And some of you may remember this.
What is that?
Maybe it's here-ish?
On just like specific stuff.
Oh no, I've just found a thing.
Ooh, this is one of the drop pods that has the
okay, there it
thruster
was.
in it.
So, here we go. This should be about the right spot once it loads.
That might be the cliff right here.
So,
yeah, that's bad times over there.
Driving, and I discovered one of the faults of this vehicle. Just because of how the weight balance works.
Oh my goodness. Whoa. This is bad.
Yeah, it is. I like how it cartwheels so much. And if I remember, it was mostly fine.
Huh.
Oh, I'm just in stunned silence. Yeah, so one of the downsides of that vehicle, just because of, I guess, I don't exactly know, someone who understands physics would probably be able to better explain it, but the rear end oftentimes would, if I hit a bump, my front wheels, I guess it has to do with where the weight is and balancing. Either way, I'd hit a bump, the back wheels would bounce much more than the front, so the front would kind of stick to the ground, and the weight of my back end in the air would spin the whole truck around. So, yeah.
I mentioned
that's what we just witnessed.
Chaotic. Sure, what just happened?
The joys of space engineers. Now, if I'm right, I do some fun piston contraption, yeah.
We're back to
and this is pretty common, too. Just
handy.
pistons to push yourself over. What else happens this episode? More than likely, after this point, I just kind of give up and go home. What is it? So it's autoed to 720p. Curious if I can get it to load faster, but that shouldn't matter too much. Oh, we can look in... Well, sort of look in the basement, it looks like. I don't have light down here. But I had all the piping and
So
whatnot.
now we have our tube and
What am I
motor
trying to do here? Am I building...
up.
So I'm trying to salvage
That's
this
the wrong button.
battery for some end. Maybe I'm just trying to knock it over to, yeah, knock it over to build... No! Oh, I know what this is. Oh god, what did I call these things?
Print.
This was my
Set it up
first
in a
little
way so
fighter.
as the piston pulls back, the welders weld all the pieces, and you can essentially print like 3D printing.
Oh, and I'm describing how I intend to print them. Oh, I remember these things. God, what were they called? Obviously, they've not existed for quite some time, and they were really kind of garbage design. But I did design them to be printed from the get-go. Oh, I can't recall. They're my little Eggman vehicles. Let's see if we can just kind of...
I will need more.
Do I end this in the daytime? Sorta, maybe. Oh, but I do have it unpainted but built.
Beautiful. It probably won't survive long.
It won't. That is prophetic of the future.
That's good.
I forgot I built this off the battery of the original dropship, and that makes sense. Look at that. A vehicle that inspires fear in the hearts of its enemies. I parked it in the lawn out front. Oh, just momentarily while I moved the car out into the lawn. I bet I haven't named it yet, so there's not much point in listening to hear a name. Ah. But yeah, they were fun, even though they didn't work. Oh, and the next episode... this is gonna go way longer than I intended it to. You know, depending on how this goes, and you may not love to hear this, but maybe this week is just this as an episode. Instead of this attached to some building. So, who knows? Future me, you can cut this out if you want to. Yeah, I just want to click through. So this is... Oh, yeah.
Supply transport.
Okay, I'm eyeing a target. Let's...
Okay. White is selected.
I want to get a good shot that I can see it all, but... Oh, okay, that'll be good enough. There it is, all painted.
One thing I am thinking of doing...
If I recall, one of the main flaws that became apparent in this episode was the lack of an antenna. But this is my first attempt at piracy.
Bit of this.
Don't know why this is bouncing up and down.
I've heard kind of this...
Yeah. So, I'm describing the jetpack inhibiting that the Modular Encounters does, which, frankly, and I don't know if I said it in this, I'm not a huge fan of. I get why they did it, because it was super easy to just attack these super valuable ships by flying up into them and taking them over. But, I don't know. I'm more a fan of the assertive combat ships, splitsy mindset of just make the ships not as valuable and also fill them with traps and guns and stuff that are, build the actual ships with some intent so that they defend themselves, as opposed to throwing in just, oh, you can't use your jetpack or grinder here, so just deal with it. That's less fun. I feel like if the ships are there, they should be able to be taken over. This should be the bit, so...
Control Z and damp to it.
Yeah.
Ooh. I don't like this. I'm thinking what I might do.
I'm having a bad idea right now.
I really don't want to get out of the Headhunter.
Headhunter, that's what it was called. Because it looked like a head. Yeah, is this where...
Oh, that's another turret up there.
So another flaw this had was no landing gear. Well, in hindsight, if I shot the forward thrusters, it would probably confuse itself.
Can I guide it?
Oh, right. Yeah. I was going to start... Because it turned away from me, I was going to start trying to steer it around. Fly it back to base from the outside. Oh, yeah. So here we go. And here's the problems happening.
Uh-oh.
It's knocking the ship
bad times.
off.
Oh no.
I don't know why I didn't use...
Okay.
Oh, because no jetpack. Because the jetpack inhibitor field.
That on.
I was like, why wouldn't I
That's what I
use my
was afraid
jetpack to
of.
get in?
It was able to knock me off. On. Dang it. There
Yeah,
goes a turret.
that's the
Come
sign
back
of
here.
things to come. These things were not
I'm done with you.
renowned for their sturdiness.
Okay, control.
So,
put
this
that there.
is... Let's see, yeah.
I think
So I'm trying to finish a little landing gear on the side so I can latch on.
steel. Give me a seat.
Uh,
1.
and I'm trying to do that by climbing aboard this ship and carving
So,
it apart so that I can get
that
the
there.
parts I need. But
Motors.
what ends up
Oh, no,
happening
no. Oh no.
is that
Ah.
because I don't have my
Okay. Jetpack.
yeah, I can't use my jetpack
Jetpack?
when close to it, so I
I
couldn't
still can't use my
jet
dampers.
over. And it
I hope that field doesn't
yeah.
go
I'll pause it. It's also inhibiting the dampeners.
all the
So
way
I'm
to
flying
ground.
manual. And if I'm right, my goal
Oh,
now
right.
is I'm
Uh-oh.
going to manually fling myself at this thing
Oh, okay.
to try and land
That
on
didn't seem
board.
right.
Oh
My
no, I'm
cockpit.
trying to catch the headhunter because again, it doesn't have a cockpit. Or not a cockpit. It doesn't have a
Nope. Okay.
antenna. So
Pretty close,
once that thing leaves, I won't really have a good bearing on where it is. I think at some point here I become dead.
Is there this,
Yeah, okay. Here's where I've given up on
at
my
this point, I just want to
headhunter.
get something from this event.
Yeah.
And we'll see, hopefully,
I'm trying to land
I don't
slow
die
enough that
too.
I don't splat once it turns off my jetpack.
Oh, I might. Yeah.
And it didn't work.
That was way too much speed.
Yeah. So the gist of it is everything goes bad and I give up. Oh, but this is not what it looks like in the end. At all, actually. But this is
And
the
we'll get
early
lights later. Well, no.
outer covering of the hot
Is
dog.
it? That's it.
Look at that. Okay. Now let us... Guess let's jump to 10. Where are we here? I'm still
Oh, the
doing...
light flickered that time.
So these are still
Okay.
streams. I don't remember quite when I
Looks
end
good.
streaming.
Hello.
Oh? The hot dog
Previous
is its...
stream,
iconic
Space
red.
Engineers. I think I moved the truck a little bit.
Oh, I've got
closer.
my little camper trailer that I
don't
built.
know. Could have checked before I started this.
Oh, I
couldn't
might
remember
be
exactly where
assaulting
I
a
left
base
off.
on foot.
But
That's what I
Dude,
did.
I've
So
got
I'd taken out... I remember this. I took out one of the enemy bases spawning drones to try and limit the amount of drones attacking. And this is where I ended up. So now I'm coming down to gather the resources, and I've got the little survivor trailer.
to explore it. Just
Oh, and I've taken some
how the
damage
game
on my roof, it
processes
looks
things
like.
in the world
Or I have a
to actually
sunroof
get
that's
to
not
where
yet
they
built.
are for them to be.
Maybe I ground down that
Yeah.
base, and this is me coming
And when
home
disappeared.
afterwards.
Hmm.
Either way... Oh! Hold on. Whoops. That's the wrong button. That was a little shot. Yeah. So the scrap metal's here. Is it... So I've clearly captured it. I think that happened just after the last video you saw.
Out hydrogen. The two thrusters are close, but I do
where
need
am
that
I?
one hydrogen thruster.
I think it's currently parked. So when I first got it, I didn't have anywhere at the base to park it, so I just sat it on the hillside because it was missing a lot of thrust and kind of janky. So I think this might be the episode where I try and move it to the base. Repair it up just enough that it can
Maybe
fly
whatever.
over there. It was a lot of
Funny.
yeah, a lot of random touching up and slight repair with the
The
wind
pain
turbine
is-
mass to get enough battery power to lift off.
Oh yeah. That might be
Oh,
pretty
yep.
aligned.
Oh, and I guess
That
I've built,
piston
so I've
would see-
started the welder. Oh, I've got the buzzy, because the buzzy came with the scrap metal. I built it there to cut the scrap metal in half. From the original ship it was. Yeah, so I've started the printing bay. I've got the connection.
the connector there.
And from my talk, it sounds like I have the actual connector bit that comes up and connects.
They take a
Let's see. Or maybe I was just aligning it to where I planned to put that.
that was a bad idea.
Yeah,
though.
that looks it. The little tower mast it gets. Oh! This is fun. So I'm printing off another headhunter, it looks like.
Until it's
Presumably that's what's on the end of this. Oh, yeah. This was before...
built.
So many changes have come since. We now have the small grid, like the small merge blocks that would have made this a lot easier.
I realized
I
as I
want to
was
see it take
printing
off,
I
because
didn't
if I'm right, yeah, they do that
pull
weird...
that back.
I think it has to do with the fact that the,
I did have a slight.
it's something that
grade
causes it
above,
to spin
maybe.
slightly. I think it was an earlier print, because I originally had these welders here spin in a circle, which is real cool, except for they'd weld parts on either side of them, get caught, and then sort of torque the whole ship around as it printed, which led to things spinning and exploding.
No construction component
Oh, this was the first rocket headhunter,
because of the tanks.
where it had a rocket instead of
So
the
we're now-
forward Gatling gun. Where am I flying it? That's what I'm curious. Looks like I'm just taking it.
Where
Oh,
we,
there's a base down there. Do we get a base assault going on? Oh,
I probably will.
no, but I've captured
But
an
let me see
enemy.
if I can
Oh, I know how this is going.
lock it to the base and drain that battery, because that would be nice to have.
Yeah, I think
Just a
I've
little bit
forgotten a
free
key
power.
factor of, a key thing here that I'm
Oh,
about to
no.
discover.
Uh-oh. Okay. Never mind, ignore that.
Yep. The base
yeah,
don't like it
dang.
very much. So I've just brought it here to be shot at,
Ow.
and I get shot too. Did I got to assault. Oh, yep. Here I am assaulting the base.
My turrets are ready to go.
Or another fleeting rival.
Get 'em, boys. Well, yeah, so
Okay.
that's good.
But I wouldn't kill for some...
I guess the other
Dramatic
turret's just
assault
for
music.
decoration. Okay, let's
Future me, you could maybe
begin.
put some in.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
it
the
out.
rockets were quite satisfying.
In fact,
That will probably be changing in the upcoming Warfare update, because I bet there will be changes that either make rockets harder to come by, or... Well, actually, because all the rockets are hard to come by, it's the mod that gives them to you. Yeah, there was a lot of combat
so
on
how it works,
planet Earth.
I thought it would just kind
Very
of
violent place.
be on and just use power, but it actually does use. So you have to have a zone chip to build it.
Oh,
then
and
it
I'm
also
talking about...
burn-
That's right, my initial idea was to, I thought that the safe zones worked differently. So I was going to have a safe zone generator here at the base, so that I'd have a big shield and then not be attacked. But in reality, they don't quite work like I wanted them. So we don't have them.
I'd say it's better to say
This is the end of this one. So let's go. So it was 10. Oh, this one I've watched a little bit too. This may have been the first one that was not a stream, because it's also down a bit. Yeah. This is where I go to space. Oh, this is good. So, wow. This just shows. So, from episode 14 all the way up to 44 is, well, this one or next one. Basically, 30 episodes, this miner has been flying around.
Too much has happened.
And it's really not
since
changed
I
too much.
last recorded. Really, all I
Look
did
at that. It's unpainted,
was I put some pretty lights
in the
and
nude.
some armor pieces onto
But it's
the
still
miner.
got most of those lights, I
So you can
think.
see, got green, then red over here.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
we don't need to hear your description. So I think this is the one where I depart for space, given that I was in space moments ago. Let's see. So we're obviously here, we're at the hydrogen fuel base.
which is kind of
We saw little bits of it. I'll try and see, and is... I don't know if we're back at the main base, or if we're down at the hydrogen base with the scrap metal. I don't think we are, because I think the scrap metal stayed at the main base until I was ready to depart, until I was fueling it up for departure. So it looks like I'm just fixing it up some more in parts of this episode. As I scrub through. Oh, I wonder if this is... Could this be the episode where I finished off it?
put it down.
Looks like I'm adding tanks. So that makes some sense. What's the main... well, you can see the fuel base there a bit. Now we're looking at the
I
tank
just
on
have
the
to have enough fuel to find
miner. Here, we'll go back to there. Yeah, with all the tanks there, the generators, and the crap ton of wind turbines it takes to run them. Whereas, oh. No, it looks like once this loads, we'll see for sure.
which is what I will.
Yeah, it looks like the scrap metal is here at the hydrogen base. Right, because it has a little pillar that it landed on to actually refuel. Okay, so we are actually currently fueling the scrap metal to launch. And I guess I was finishing up some stuff. Some extra tanks to hold the cargo. Oh. Now. This might... No, it looks like I'm flying back to base
to get
first.
in the air, at least while it's empty.
I want to show the launching, because this is the first time my leaving the planet in this little miner ship was the first time I'd actually left the planet and entered space, which is a
this
big
thing can
moment.
move. That's pretty good.
So I guess this was the little shakedown run to see if it could actually fly
We've
and
not used up
operate.
too much of our fuel.
Yeah.
Let's turn
This has been arguably my most
on
successful ship
downside.
design
I
just
may
because it's
set
not blown up.
on control.
Oh yeah,
So
it's my
I
cruise
can,
control.
be-
This is very good for conserving fuel as you leave space, because you can fine tune it to exactly how much thrust you need. Let's see. Not sure
It's not
quite
the
why I
old
came
stuff
back
that-
over here, but I'm sure I had a reason. Oh, you can see, because we've not really seen the base in the last video too close. So it looks like the base is now pretty much done. Oh. Okay, we're under attack, which is always good. That was common here.
Okay, so maybe
But yeah, the base is pretty much done and painted. It's
some
sort of
stuff
army
around here
green.
is not
Taking a long time to think about things. I think part of that is because these were uploaded at 1080p. That's a fairly recent change that I
okay.
realized that was kind of wasteful, because most everyone's only going to
So-
receive them in 720p max.
We've got our parachutes.
And uploading them a
Got
little
fuel,
smaller means that
Got
they
oxygen. I want to
can
okay,
come down
there's
to your
very
computer
little
quicker.
jetpack. Just
Okay, so it looks like final stocking up. We're in the cockpit. Is this the moment?
There's not a moon super nearby, so I just gotta go up.
I sure do. Hope I've got to load first.
So yeah, without further ado, boosters on.
Here we go. It's important to align. Get the thumbnail.
And then see that, so
Ah, yes, I'm describing
not
cruise control. Which did I set up? I seem to remember
this.
having to stop mid-launch to set up this. This is a handy thing. I may be describing this right now, but I like using this display on cockpits for when I'm going up so you can get as close to 90 as possible, which probably in reality doesn't matter much in Space Engineers, but it feels better. And I guess if you were using something that only has a downward rocket, it's handy. Yeah, let's... Okay, now I've got my cruise control.
Just dial back. Adjust under. Yeah. Oh, it's being good this time and not using
Yeah, it's so weird seeing it in just the default gray. I think if I remember, I paint it when I'm in space. Because I end this episode in space and then come down in the next one, having found, I think, nothing of use. Because as it turns out, it's very hard to find anything in space. I'm curious if I did anything or if I just watch it fly.
Okay, we'll stay where you
Well, we are
move slower
getting off the
because you're
planet.
fighting your fuel to
I
get
do
up.
forget sometimes that this thing is capable
We
of...
are.
Yeah.
I think if I hit one more
It's a fully
time-
spacefaring vessel. I've
No,
not used
okay.
it like that for a long
If
while.
I hit,
but
if I throttle down one more
If
time,
need be,
we'll
I could escape the planet just
turning
in the
off
minor.
the override
With
and
enough
fully on
fuel that I
reverse
should be
thrust.
able to maneuver somewhere.
So that's pretty good. Didn't really have the range.
This is
to-
where I'm realizing a small grid ship
A
going
large
up to
grid
space to
detector
mine is not useful.
Right here, I could be detecting this.
Yeah, do I find... If I'm right, most of this is just me hurtling around the cosmos, looking for anything of value.
Asteroid seemed cobalt. Ha hey!
Oh, I did find some gold.
That's one of the things
That's
we
right, that's
needed.
what I'm up here for. No, I found cobalt. Not gold.
Move from current
It's hard to hear
position.
myself sometimes. I guess I was also excited about cobalt.
Sweet.
I think I was mainly up here for gold and possibly some silver.
Where was?
Because
the
you need those for a jump drive, and that's what I was trying to get built. Yes, I think this is where I end up bedding down for the evening. I wanted that's a better
yeah.
shot. Sort of. You can see just a smidgen of Earth. Yeah, so that's what we were doing at 15 episodes in. We'd made it to space for the first time. So, and if we look at the thumbnail, so at 20 episodes, so 15 episodes, we've made it to space.
internet
20
Welcome
episodes in,
to
we're in
space.
space, heading to Mars.
and space engineers.
The
so-
scrap metal.
You may be able to notice
And it's been a while since we've seen this.
this. Also,
Huh.
kind of looks blue.
This was a good ship, the scrap metal.
Whatever.
Definitely sort of cobbled together,
Last
but that
episode, you
it
may
had a
have
lot of
noticed
style that you
we
don't
left
get with a
Earth,
more planned ship.
jumped
It looks like I'm just running around the outside of the ship to waste time, which is always
and
fun.
fly through space.
Not quite sure. Oh, no, I am moving. So,
Judging
I'm
by
just
our power draw,
cruising,
it does
uh,
look like
towards Mars
our
slowly to
jump
avoid
drive is
anything.
charged. So let's see.
Which has been something I was kind of a bit let down. I think I get chased down by something onto Mars. But other than that, I've really not encountered much. And I think it just has to do with how the various mods for the modular encounter spawners work is they have, I forget what exactly they call it, but it basically calculates your, I think a threat score is what they say. Based on how many blocks you have and the types of blocks, it determines how much of a threat you are and therefore spawns bigger enemies. And my guess is that when I've been in space, I've been there such a short time, and I've not had a huge amount of stuff, though it should count bases and whatnot too. I don't know. I've been let down with the amount of
probably
assault
won't
I've
let us
received in
jump.
space.
Yep.
I
Enable
had
that
stuff
so the
in
camera can see
specifically
it.
to make space very dangerous.
Yep, cannot be used to jump, so the planet is
Though I
too
do
close.
think, and it may have been something
Uh,
you may have noticed, I don't know how long it was happening, there seemed to be an issue with the, several of the modular encounter spawner mods on Mars that meant I only got, like, two types of two types of ships spawning, if I use enunciation, and, even then it was kind of rare. So there was something messed up with the whole system that may have been messed up through my time flying in space as well, and I just don't know.
dial it back.
Looks like we're
25%
jumping,
jump.
and it's probably the
Fire.
final jump towards Mars. Except I probably did some positional jumping to get around to the pole.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, because I'm not super close.
Okay.
Oh, yep. I do a little whoop jump up to the top of the planet.
Jump cone kind of off to our side there.
Oh, yeah, because it's asymmetric, the ship.
Okay. Ooh.
Ah. That's where we end up. Right at the edge of the ice cap.
Okay, this is
In fact,
exciting.
yeah, basically right there.
Down our dampeners.
Oh, in fact, it looks like...
Burn some more fuel.
Yeah, this is our final descent in.
Okay.
That's exciting.
We are now falling.
Yeah.
And we're in gravity.
I forget how much... Because these things really moved,
So,
these episodes.
we'll see the challenge here.
I guess when you go 5 episodes at a time, it kind of...
What, our first immediate
You're seeing
challenge,
some pretty
many
big
upcoming
jumps in
challenges.
general with the length of episodes I
This
do.
thing flew on Earth, so we should be able to
Though
fly
they kind of
on
get more and
Mars.
more varied.
I
I've keyed
do
into just under an
expressly
hour.
remember
I'm
the hydrogen
talking
engines
over
were
him
not
while
enough
he
on
flies.
Earth to lift
You hush. Actually,
it with the
I can just silence him. Yeah, so I've kind of toned in now, but in fact, it looks like right up until, nah, I'd kind of toned it in through here. Mars, I just got distracted with things and made long episodes. I've gotten better at my pacing a bit on... That's an actually pretty darn short one. Well, either way.
I don't
That
have
was
clock
a,
for Mars.
I didn't know about Mars. I didn't know.
Looks like
I
a
mean,
good
it
spot.
should have been logical that I was going to be at the edge of the ice cap.
Fortunately, I can't.
It would have
really
a pretty
read the
low
altimeter
angle coming across, which
because
is,
of the
as you
snow,
remember,
so
how
we're
it was.
75 somethings.
But I think it is
Probably
daytime.
7,500. So this should
Yeah,
slow us.
This is our coming in for our final landing.
Should slow us.
Except,
Like it to slow us.
there it goes.
I
I think what it was is I
we're
wasn't
coming
in
in
the
hot.
atmosphere. Because
Okay,
I think
we're
there is
slowing a
low
bit.
atmosphere on Mars, so atmospheric thrusters don't kick on immediately.
What's our Oh, I don't love our altimeter right now.
It'll be fine.
Come on, baby.
I wasn't sure, and I will let you in on a little bit of
Okay.
The writer's room secret. I very much considered just smashing the scrap metal into Mars. Part of me was hoping this would go wrong. Specifically because then I would have more of a struggle. It would be essentially a fresh start on Mars, where I have to salvage what I can from my crashed ship to build a new base. And were I someone with a bit more creative gumption, I would have done that anyway. But
Okay,
instead
we've
it worked out, so I said,
That was a little-
whatever.
I kind of was afraid that we were about to smash it into the ground. I thought about
And I
doing
think it
that
kind of
as a
worked
way
out
to
anyway, because,
make this next session more interesting. But
yeah, well, uh, yeah, I think it worked out because it just meant we were accelerated, so we didn't have as many episodes of filler where we tried to get the base started. So, I don't know,
I didn't
presumably
really
it's
want to
good.
spend 18 episodes on Mars.
Well, I think
So,
I'm talking about it in here as well. Funny where your
good
brain
thing
goes to the
it
same
almost,
places. Oh, and
yeah.
that's...
Oh, you can see,
There he
you can see
goes.
the little explosion over there.
That was the, there was a
It's
corrupt
still exploding a
fighter
little
drone
bit.
or whatever coming
Okay.
after me that
To get what we need.
decided
That's
that Mars was
okay.
safe to fly on for him.
Yeah, not super flat,
There's
but I think
Martian
it's about as good
touchdown.
as we'll get up here.
Oh, and my elevator. I forgot about the
Small step for man,
elevator.
giant leap for mankind. We did it.
Hold on. Let's get that one again. Yep, we're going down. Well, I think we're on the ground.
Okay. This is whoops. Okay.
And we're going
Small
up.
step for man, giant leap for mankind. We did it.
Yeah, the sensor range probably wasn't tuned quite finely
Okay,
enough.
I guess
but
I don't get to take the elevator back up.
Wow.
But there we are.
Yeah. And only 24
Boy.
minutes into the episode. Now, what was the first
Pretty
thing
desolate.
I did? I'm curious. Looks like... Oh.
We have a glass cup.
Yeah, so I immediately started my dome. Because that was the plan from the get-go. Was to make a dome on Mars. Now, I think initially I'd intended to do it out of glass, but unfortunately we don't have the glass shapes we need. And this was also pretty recently after the update that gave us the extra block shapes. So, when was... Yeah, June 6th. So we've almost made it to half a year.
So it looks like a turtle without legs.
The bubble with the back porch that I did, I think, eventually build the ice drill on.
I maybe didn't think about the
We'll
radius,
get there at some point.
the actual size.
It'll go well. You'll use
Maybe a
half blocks for the floor. It'll be
half
great.
armor for the floor
Oh,
where it's not exposed.
that's what I'm saying.
At some point, I want to go check out that.
So I'm just
Horsefly
looking
drone
around,
that
probably
crashed, see
recharging.
what's there and what's salvageable. Maybe I'd do that real quick.
Oh, so it looks like I fly over.
Make.
Here, we'll just skip to the flying. I just jetpack hop.
Okay, I'm within gun range and I'm not getting shot, so let's continue approaching.
It's hard to tell you're
I
moving
don't know
with
what
this
these
view.
things can do.
Yeah.
It's looking.
So it's pretty much gutted.
It's looking pretty dead.
But a lot of
In
handy
fact, I
little
don't even
bits on it.
think- Okay.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. Yeah, so I don't... Looks like I salvage a bit. Just what
Maybe
I
it
can
doesn't
carry,
have
and
any
then I depart.
Down or much down?
Oh, and... Okay. So this is the start of,
Good enough.
me building the Rambler. Which was my next little wheeled buggy. Oh! And look at that. A hard cut edit to when I was finished
like a
laying it
car.
out. Though... Is that it?
Needs to be welded, but
That looks odd. I probably
That'll
change
do
it a bit at
nicely.
some point. Oh, no, it didn't
So,
have the bumpers
couple
and lights and
things.
whatnot. That kind of
Wanna
changes up the
have
appearance. And I think it does get
antenna
some
or
minor
detector?
tweaking, because if I'm right, one of the first things I do is roll it and blow
that's
it
for
up.
those. Then
Oh, no, it's 100% not right, because the front wheels aren't extended. That was something... I may do it here. Maybe I had that idea here. I remember that was something... So, in real life, and I probably talked about it in the episode, real life cars, they will have the front wheels very slightly wider than the back wheels. And different cars do this to different levels, and there are a bunch of other tricks. But it's essentially so that when you corner, the widest part of the vehicle is the front, because when you turn in a car, you put weight on the front wheels. So having them slightly wider set makes it more stable. So I was trying to do that in Space Engineers, and unfortunately it doesn't work quite right. I think because you only have, you know, the minimum you can do is one block on each side wider, it kind of, I guess you could put a piston and see what that does, but that would be a nightmare in and of itself. Yeah. So it was my attempt at making wider set front wheels, and I remember testing it in a survival world to see if it did anything. And in the survival world, it worked great.
Cargo.
I think that's the start in the next episode. Because this didn't perform quite as good as I wanted, so in the next episode
No offs.
I'd done the testing in between and rebuilt it.
That's what the suit's
Either
for,
off camera
right?
or as the beginning of the next episode, but
Let's get in.
you can watch that for yourself. Okay, I'm setting up wheels.
So
I think I also made it slightly
sevens
lower to
should
the
be- you can
ground,
tell
because
how many
that does
iterations
help.
I had to go through.
Yep, we're going,
Still
and
likes to roll.
yeah,
But the
it likes
braking
to be on
means
2 wheels more than
Brakes
4.
are slower, but
And that's just a downside, one of the difficulties with
I guess we can just
rovers and space engineers in general.
drop the power to
It's
50.
hard to balance the weight
how that
to
handles?
height and all that stuff,
Put our wheel
and make it
friction
look
up.
like a car, which for me is more
80.
important than function.
I guess I could drop.
Yeah, there we go.
That's kind of a pain.
And it likes
Having
to
constantly
pull to one
put left
side,
in a little bit.
which is normal. In fact, it pulls pretty hard.
That's a bummer. And it looked so cool too. I was hoping this thing would perform like a magical machine.
Yeah. It's
It's
the
kinda
unfortunate, sometimes you make it look cool
wiggly
and that doesn't
little-
make it work cool.
Bumpy thing.
And this is what, the performance is what prompted me to then do some more do some more testing and see if I could make something that actually performs on Mars like I wanted. Oh. Apparently one of my wheels wasn't height adjusted and that may have been causing the drift. Yeah, it still likes to be on
Something
2
odd.
wheels and turns.
I can get it up on 2 wheels quite easily, which isn't quite what you want.
No. And a lot of that has to do with being too
So-
high off the ground.
Pretty good vehicle, I suppose.
Real life vehicles do that too. It's just a little different. Yeah.
It's good.
Oh, and I
That was
end on a
Rover.
cool pulled out shot. That was fun. So our first days on Mars. What happens 5 episodes later?
Hello, Internet. Welcome back at long last to Space Engineers. It has been
Oh.
about a
Wow, that's fun to catch. Apparently this was, yeah, so the last one,
hello.
11th of July, 29th of August. This was a little, a sneak peek into my personal life. So this was me moving apartments. I don't think I mention it in the videos at all, but there was about a month gap, a little bit, where I was finishing up school and whatnot, moving apartments, transitioning to all that, and living at my parents' place for a bit. And I didn't feel like setting up all my recording equipment and all that, so I just didn't. Which meant I had this large gap in my video uploads. And this gap was sort of the cutoff point for where the modern channel began. Because after I came back from this gap, I did some thinking. I was like, okay, I'm not going to stream anymore. Everything's going to be videos. Everything will be edited. I started working with time slots and recording multiple videos to kind of fill those up so I could, film a couple videos in a week, edit them, and then not have to worry about that particular video and focus on a different video. So, yeah, so this was the first episode back of Space Engineers. After that,
Hello, Internet.
which is neat.
Welcome back at
Oh, there's the blue buzzy,
Well, we
which we didn't
crashed
see
our
much.
expertly designed
It survived, though. It should still be on Mars.
fighter, which is
Uh,
right there.
Our Martian fighter, which was
And
garbage.
in our panic,
Oh, yeah. Okay, so This was the Martian fighter and then the battle tractor.
Decided to build an even more.
That's fun. So the last episode, I tried to go into battle, got myself shot up tremendously, and decided, okay, well, I'm gonna build a new vehicle to try and do the same thing that's better suited. That's what this is. It was all heavy armor and whatnot, and it worked decent. But then at the beginning of this episode, I'm like, I'm grinding it down.
The scrap metal.
Oh, and this was the decision. This was, because of course I'm still on the scrap metal. This is where we turned the scrap metal into the whatever submarine cigar yellow submarine that wasn't yellow at first, and now doesn't look like a submarine.
Oh, what? Scrap that. Leave this in the cutout bit. Just ignore it, future me.
I didn't do that. Yeah, so this is more my modern editing style, in air quotes, that I'm still refining.
That's how we get around.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Get
it's
to
so-
interesting. I thought I'd done this as a time lapse, but apparently not.
Nope.
I do believe.
It,
Oh, so I'm
find
repairing the
space
fighter,
engineers as well,
which
not just filming.
again wasn't very useful, but looked cool, and I wanted to leave.
Add-
And I think my concept for it was it would, and it is a functional, it would work well against a small, like a drone coming as a strike fighter, which is kind of what it was designed to be as. It's just not very good again as a pirate ship to take down large ships.
Secondary benefit.
What is, oh, I guess something to look at too. So we just landed on Mars in the last episode. Now the base is, you can see a little bit of the floor is not done, but the base is built. That's a change.
Carry that.
We've got the garage off to one side. That should, oh, come on.
Here. I can use it to pick
The
up and move
thumbnail on
things.
the
'Cause
scrubber
that's
lied
another,
to me.
Okay.
Come on, turn it. Oh. It did it very briefly, but you could see the, well, that works. Yeah, you can see the, power tower with its weird Cthulhu arms.
So I see
Ship
two
flying
missile
over, and I'm debating.
turrets.
So this was part of the, I mentioned the modular encounter stuff not working. I'm about at the point where I realized that it was having issues because it kept just being super gremlins and whatever these guys are, which are both pretty heavily armored and armed. So I think part
Those
of my
might be
issue
missile
with
launchers
piracy
out
on Mars
front.
was that I was going up against solely things that I would
But it
struggle to
doesn't-
fight.
Place that I barely remember. From
So it was just a
Elon's
bit of a
past.
unfortunate
This was
combination.
going to be sort of the living area.
Oh, so and it looks
you'd have-
like-
these would be, I guess, bunk rooms.
Okay, so I've laid out the bits,
Uh,
but I've not built anything.
whatnot,
Yeah, of
and
course,
up
because I was
here
working out
going
the
to be
scrap
sort
metal
of
up
an
until I
open
tore it down. I tore the scrap metal down to finish in here.
cargo.
My goodness. It looks so
This
big and
side
open when
will
it's empty.
make- To have a little
I think it
stair
is
up
just
to-
building and then the occasional cutting down of bits off the scrap
Uh,
metal to do the building. Oh,
Okay, that seems wrong.
yeah, it does actually.
And
was just
those
about
are
to say.
partially Buzzy.
What am I doing?
Kind of over here.
Oh, I bet.
Perfect.
Have I built...
Okay.
Come on, show the top of
So-
the dome. I think what I've done here is I've just built the stalk off the top of the dome to
Now-
connect and empty the cargo containers. Yep. Okay, that's what I'm doing. That's right, because the ship was docked up here as I ground it down, which was
Over.
in some cases not wise.
Now we need to finish.
So it looks like this is primarily laying stuff out. And I kind of remember
Well,
this.
Alrighty then.
The episode of laying stuff out and kind of getting ready. And then at the start in the next episode, I had that big time lapse of me grinding everything, which was not the first one with music, but it was one of the first ones that I really did a lot of editing on. Oh yeah, so I'm just setting up that, which was pretty fun to watch. I did some editing trickery to make it look like it was kind of going all at once, because in reality there were of course big gaps in between when it would weld and when it wouldn't. But it was kind of fun to just watch every so often when I make a drop off, this light up for a second. Dang, I'm trying to remember when my first time lapse with music. We're going to go backwards in time just a second. So my first time lapse with music, I think,
Hello, Internet. Welcome back.
would have been this one. So this is the second episode after getting to Mars, and just by the thumbnail, it's got the
When
blue
you
buzzy.
turn,
Oh, though actually, no, I bet it was this one, because I would have started with it.
hello, Internet. Welcome back to more Space
Yep.
Engineers. I have
You know, I don't know. I feel like this was not the first one I did, the one that's coming up, but we're going to cover it. Yeah. Yeah, instead of just, you know, I tried to put a little bit more creativity in this one, I remember. This is good fun. Setting it up for grinding. Then the launch of the buzzy. And here's a sort of traditional time lapse. This music worked well. That's one thing. Again, I wish I could. It would be more fitting to talk about it on the first one I did. But I started using, because these are only on YouTube, the YouTube audio library is a great resource for finding music you can use in YouTube videos. The licensing. Oh, and my little. I built the. Hold on. Let's go back a second. I built my little beach umbrella and chair out there. The chair is how I'm controlling the buzzy going through the antenna. I think at this point, I don't know if I put that in, but I realized halfway through that I was using the antenna off the scrap metal. And when I ground the antenna off the scrap metal, suddenly the buzzy stopped working. So I think I then had to build one. I think it's under the floor in the base, actually. But yeah, I built this as just a funny little thing. I will admit, I built the umbrella in creative mode and then pasted it in creative mode into this position because I didn't feel like messing around with it in survival. But yeah, just a funny little, I don't know. I wanted to doll it up for the camera and have a little bit of fun with it. And this was, I think how this actually worked, you can see, I let it build up for a bit and then basically sat in a control seat and clicked the button every so often to make it do this. But in practice, that's how it would do, except, you know, it would do that once every time I load stuff. Giving away all my editor secrets here. But hey, that probably makes it fun for someone. And I forget what I should print out. It should show. Yeah, this is James River by DJ Williams, who does some pretty good stuff on the YouTube audio library. And I forget how exactly long this goes. This was a long one. I've done some long time lapses since. This was definitely one of the longer ones at the time. I think I managed to use the whole song, whereas normally I'd use just snippets. Yeah. These are probably one of my favorite things to actually edit. They're just so fun and interesting. They give a lot more creativity than just the video. this go? I think we're coming to the end. Because if I'm right, I grind it down completely, but I definitely don't show all of that. Because it did take a while. That's the downside with recording these is, sometimes they take quite a while. Just with all the extra stuff to do to get to the point where you're ready to do the next video. Yeah, this is the end, because the Buzzy was low on power, I believe. And then I continued later on. Our porch is fixed.
Nice.
There's a lovely new hole. If I go...
Waiting for him to
first, we can look
do
this
the
away.
show.
You can just
I'm
see
teasing it, you can tell.
we now have 4 hydrogen tanks that are mostly
Like, I'm not
full
going
of
to
hydrogen.
look at the big
We
thing.
have a little turret up there twitching about.
That's
More on that
nice.
soon.
Come on.
And the big thing from the intro cinematic, the scrap metal's gone.
Yep. That's all that's left. Amazingly, and I guess that's something interesting too, because those are still the batteries in the Yellow Submarine. I've continued to reuse them because, you know, even though at this point I probably could have just ground them all down and built new ones and it wouldn't matter, it's kind of just it's just wasting time, or wasting some effort, I guess, not time so much. So, yeah. Those batteries
So
have also
that
come with us
sort of
since Earth. Those are the batteries I found crashed on a hillside. Okay. Well, so that was an extension of 25. Let's see. Oh, and 30. Oh, 30 is a big one too. Wow. Every 5... Oh, and it starts with a time lapse. God, every 5 episodes I was doing something good, it looks like. Yeah, this was a fun one too. Ramping up the video speed to run. This was... What exactly... I can't remember quite how I ended. Oh no! I'd gone after a ship just with my jetpack. Because this is just after trying to use the cigar to do some piracy, realizing it didn't work well either. And I was just like, screw it, I want to capture something. So I took off in my jetpack with my grinder in an attempt to capture something, failed at doing that, and ended up falling onto the ground. And then just scurrying along. If I recall how I did the edit of this, I basically I think I put some weights down to just continually run. I did something. Maybe I just held it down for a while, but I wasn't like... I remember specifically not moving my mouse at all, because I was controlling it. Actually, I probably was just in third person, not spectator cam, like doing these. That is how I do these, by the way, is I set up the spectator cam camera in a fixed position, move my guy into position in his camera, and then when you switch to spectator, you can use... Oh, that was a fun one. You can use the tools without... So I bet I was in spectator on the last one. Here, I've just rambled words out to you that mean nothing. Yeah, so when you're in spectator cam, you can have a tool equipped on your character, and while in spectator cam, click and use the tool. So that's how I position to do these, is I position my spectator cam separately. So if I were to move at all, I can't move the character. I am only able to move the camera. But I position myself in a way so I don't have to move. I can just do it a little bit. And some stuff like this, I'm clearly just positioned in third-person camera so it tracks to me. Which, I don't know. some people, it's common to use if you have a second computer, you use it and basically a second copy of the game to have a multiplayer person in there to film for you. And that gives you a lot more control, which I wish I had, but I don't have a second copy of the game, and I don't have a second computer that could run it, so it's kind of pointless. Oh, is this the big time lapse? Oh, I think it is. Wow, so we really do jump. This is me finishing the base. I forgot how much stuff happened in this one. And that does make sense from looking at the thumbnails. This is where we leave Mars. Look at him go. Okay, here let's do... This is the first time I did this with the jumping cuts, which I'm a fan of now for sure. And again, it just position spectator cam, move my guy in position, then hop between. And that lets you do some interesting, you know, you can make it nice and snappy, which I always enjoy. This is maybe... I've also... Okay. Oh yeah, we have the drill rig out there now. Oh, excuse me. I have also done some stuff in here that I'd like to show you. Oh yeah, we just saw it on the time-lapse. Though I do try and leave little things out of the time-lapse so there is some payoff to watch it. You know, you see most of it as it's built, but there are one or two little things that are like, ooh, I didn't see that. What am I doing? So, I believe this episode is me doing all the final touch-ups in the base I wanted to do. And then, here, if we go up, you'll notice that currently this is still the big cigar, as I called it. Which is the internal hull section of what is now the Yellow Submarine. But it's not very yellow or submarine-y yet. Actually, it's more submarine-y than it ends up. But, yeah, I believe this episode, one of the things I do, yeah, if we go in, so I'm setting it up. This is the episode where I build the booster pods onto it. Let's see if I can get... Come on, give me the shot that you show in the thumbnail of the scrubber. It's this little red bar, by the way, what I'm referring to. I don't know if that's proper terminology or not. But yeah, there's the booster. Let's just skip ahead. Oh, it looks like... Hey! It's a pretty quick turnaround, I gotta say. I'm already at the point of, flight testing, it looks like. What is our... Yeah. Oh, our acceleration is absurd now. Yeah, well, the boosters will do that. It definitely does not handle that well with only the Atmos, as we've seen. Yeah, look how... it did look good in that color palette, I gotta say. A bit more zippy than it once was. Definitely a little bit more, you know, stealthy and sort of military, violent looking, but don't know why I chose yellow. Though now I feel like I couldn't have chose anything else. But that shouldn't be too big of an issue when we're actually in space. Well, I know why I chose yellow. It's because it looks like one of the Naboo starfighters. So I made it look like that, but that it is not I don't know why I decided to just accept that change instead of making something different. I think, as a space runabout, it should be alright. Yeah, should do. It's been in space exactly once. I forgot. So I don't know if I'd call it a space runabout, but... yeah, I'm docked. Okay.
we're at pretty much maximum.
Okay, so I'm testing to make sure
maximum
it can
draw,
still fly
just
on
hovering
Atmo.
while charging the jump drive.
Oh yeah,
Kick the engines
testing
on.
batteries.
Hovering
I actually
isn't
did some
as
proper testing on
bad,
this. Normally I just
but
kind of build it
any
and assume it'll work.
Maneuvering spikes us up to full
Nah.
very often.
Oh, there's the moment. I want to see the moment
Better.
its color
Uh,
becomes. I guess I just wanted something different. Because that was the one downside with this base, and I fixed it a bit at the end, but just with how the dome walls and everything worked, it's very monocolor. This sort of salmony pink.
bad. So. Oh boy, that's yellow.
Oh, it sure is.
That's
It's like a 3-day-old banana.
it's real yellow. Let's try it not battered, just standard.
Now it's like a
That
day-old
looks a little
banana.
better. Now
Yep, and I
will
do my
do segments.
new favorite. It is.
In the retro
This
future
texture is
armor.
DLC. It's probably the only DLC texture that I feel is worth it is the silver. Or I guess this is actually retro future. The actual silver is kind of meh. But the retro future armor is very nice. It's the only one I would say, in my opinion, is worth getting just for the texture. Obviously, the decorative blocks are, I have those in here.
maybe
That's
not that
its own
much of a
thing.
segment, though.
But this was partially, I was like, well, if I'm going to make it yellow, I'm going to lean all the way into its Star Wars inspiration.
Silver
But it was also
nose.
partially, I was like, oh my god, if it's all yellow, I'm going to throw up looking at it. So
Silver the fronts of these.
I need something to cut out some of that.
2 blocks in.
And honestly, I think it worked pretty well. I mean, it is a nice looking. It's a cool looking color palette.
Very disoriented.
It's
but you don't
definitely,
look like
yeah,
that.
I think people are going to love or hate it, depending. But in my opinion, I think it is. It gives a lot of interest and looks like. It doesn't look like everything else. It makes it unique.
Well,
Look at that. It definitely helps on the alien planet too, where the colors are so much brighter in general. It really does, and I comment on it, and when I land, I'm like, wow. But it definitely looks, on Mars, it looks a little silly. So it looks like the rest of it, I'm just painting the inside, and I end looking at it from above.
bye.
Bye-bye. That's fun. So what is... Okay, so that was episode 30. And now we're getting in... So, at this point, we're into pretty much the modern
Hello,
era.
Internet, and welcome back to
Oh, not that modern. So, episode 34, our 35th episode, quote-unquote, it looks like we've not yet started building the actual hangar. Or at least we've not finished it enough. Well, maybe we have. Oh, actually. No, we have built the hangar. We've built the little lip. Have we built the inside? Oh, this is the welding ship. This is the weldy.
Genius
I'm
idea.
amazed that this thing has survived as long as it has. Because it is a little janky and silly to operate, but it actually works quite well. The battery life doesn't always get it all the way through the project in one go, but for a ship that seems like it should be a little silly, it works quite well. Oh. I'm in a time lapse. Probably of all the welding and building and then design. It looks very Halloween-y. It was November 7th, so
Okay.
maybe I took inspiration.
Oh, it is backwards, but
And I never
you can
changed
see I have
that.
a bit of control. So if I want it to
You
go
always,
up,
in how my mind should be, that should be down, that should be up, but it's not how it is.
moment
Don't
of
really
truth.
need to watch this because we know it flies.
I can't do that. I'm not in creative. Okay, moment of truth.
Actually, we know it sinks slowly, but
Well, it
sort of
is
flies.
sinking.
And that's, of course, because of the subgrid and how the weights work.
This.
It generally doesn't do that. I think I
Let's
loaded it full, including loading that full for
go ahead and
testing.
swing that back up.
And that does
Way
affect it. If you
around.
have a lot of weight in the welder, it tends to
All right.
struggle. Oh, and it did roll backwards a lot.
Light.
I'm curious what's going on, because I built it so I could weld up in the hangar,
Though maybe if I get desperate,
which, looking at the thumbnail, is what
I might be
happens in
able
the
to
next
work it out as
episode.
some sort of.
Really want to see. Well, you can see there. Oh, now you can't. But the colors are much less egregious when everything is a neon green. Oh, so I guess my first. Okay, that's what I was curious, is if I'd done the side bay yet, which has not happened. So I guess I welded up
You sort of had
the
I was joking
front
about it, you
sort
do
of
have to hop it around like a photo
lid.
stick.
Okay.
Come on.
So it looks like I primarily did this just testing the flying and to see if it would actually function.
And it's empty. It's real.
We do the
Real
welding
easy to
underneath, which works really
bash
well,
my head.
actually.
Time lapse before.
And
I
then
start
we
the
end
next
on this
episode.
cool shot. That's nice. And then if I'm right, looking at the thumbnail, our 40th,
Hello, Internet, and welcome back to more Space Engineers. So,
this was our interior
week,
designing episode,
I
I
think
believe.
it's time for some interior decoration.
Yes. And this
Plenty of
is
room.
not all that old.
Kind of in this little nook.
We've seen all this, and it's as
Beds.
unwelded, but as we leave it.
Just
And if I'm right, yeah, now we're getting into the stuff like I feel like I edited this 2 weeks ago. With the time lapse here. Yeah. These are my favorite part, I think. Could just start editing music videos. Okay. Well, and whoa. Funnily enough, the next video in the list of videos will be this one. So, it's almost like it worked out perfectly and was I'd say semi-intentional. It really wasn't. The intentional part was me looking and saying, oh, well, 5 episodes will get me here, so let's do every 5 episodes. Yeah. I think with the length of that, that'll be the episode. So this is a bit, there is Space Engineers stuff happening, but it's definitely not a normal Space Engineers episode. So, sorry for that for those of you who do not want it, but hopefully some of you will look at this and really find it entertaining and interesting. So yeah, that'll be where we end this. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Feel free to check out next week for actual Space Engineers content. And until then, bye-bye.